everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and welcome to the ever-morphing Comic Book Vault. Today we're going to take a look at Transformers More Than Meets the Eye #1. This just came out in January of this year and was sent to me by Halculus. Thanks a lot to you. We just talked about this on Mailbag Day, and I really can't express how much I appreciate it when folks send us books to review in the Vault, because I get things that I would never even consider taking a look at or reviewing, and I really like getting outside my comfort zone and trying things I'm not used to. I think I've built up a bit of a reputation for not liking Transformers, which is not really accurate. It's more that I haven't consumed enough of it to really have an opinion, but the basic premise doesn't immediately appeal to me, and never really has. Just the idea of robots fighting a giant war, some evil, some good, and they transform into things. They make for absolutely fantastic toys, but I never really understood the point of having a narrative behind it. And I gotta tell you, the more I look into it, I'm really experimenting with Transformers right now, and the more I look into it, the more I'm finding that I may have been somewhat mistaken. Now, I'll still say that I feel like every time I read or watch a Transformers story, I feel like there's way too many characters and a lot of kind of interchangeable personalities, or at the very least, kind of generic personality types, but certainly not for everyone. I'll tell you, I'm watching a little bit of Transformers Prime right now and really enjoying that, and that's kind of changing my attitude toward Transformers a little bit. So anyway, I'm glad that I read this now instead of several months ago, because I'm in a place where I'm kind of finally allowing myself to get into and enjoy Transformers a little bit. So let's jump into this a little bit. So Transformers More Than Meets the Eye #1. This is an ongoing story, or an ongoing comic book rather, that just started a few months back, like I said, and it takes place after some big, giant, major events that, of course, I didn't read. And all over this place, there are tags that give you footnotes and tell you where in the comic series before this various information comes from. They call this a really big jumping-on point. I can half agree with that. I felt lost through part of this, and honestly, after I read it once and then skimmed it a second time, I was a lot more comfortable with what I had read. There's a lot of just really involved mythology and history with Transformers, and it seems like pretty much everything is canonical. So you're looking at stuff that, if you've never read this before and you're not initiated like I'm not, you feel like this is not for you. Even though it's supposed to be a good jumping-on point, it feels like it's for people who have been following this for a long time. I recognized a lot of names, but then there were a lot of other names I didn't recognize. And like I said, Transformers just has a crazy amount of characters. I'm not sure how well, and I've always wondered about Transformers in comics, and now that I've read one, I'm not sure how well Transformers really translates to the comic book page. First of all, what's fun about Transformers is that they turn into other things, and of course you don't get to see the actual transformation because you're looking at a picture. But the other thing is, I'm used to identifying people based on their faces, and Transformers doesn't really work that way. I mean, sure, different robots' faces look kinda different, but what really sets them apart from each other is what they transform into and their color scheme and that sort of thing. And of course, you know, the Autobots look more, you know, good and majestic, and the Decepticons look more evil and vicious, and so you can at least kind of separate out, you know, one from another when you're looking at the Autobots and Decepticons. But that's been a problem in other media too. I mean, when you go to the Michael Bay Transformers movies, I can never tell who's fighting who with the robot battles. Partly because they're shot too close up, but also partly just because the robots really kind of all look the same to me in that. And you know, with the exception of like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee, pretty much. So of course, this didn't have that problem so much. I feel like if I were to read this for a while, I would get used to, like I have with Transformers Prime, what characters I'm looking at when. And also, it seems like this is following a particular few amount of Transformers, and I get the sense, of course I haven't read past this first issue, but I get the sense that as you go along, it's going to focus on a particular handful of them, and then it becomes a little bit easier to tell who you're talking about or who you're looking at when. So the basic premise here is the big war between the Autobots and Decepticons is finally finished completely, and Cybertron the planet reverts back to a primordial state, and all the Transformers are able to move back onto it, and now it's like nothing ever happened. The Autobots go back home, and they take the planet back over again, but they're met with some opposition by some robots that are still there, who are not one or the other, that are not Autobots or Decepticons, and there's kind of a mystery about who they are and what they're like. But you get the sense that not everybody that wasn't involved in the war is real happy with how long it took and how it turned out and all of that. And I'm talking somewhat vaguely because I don't understand all the repercussions to that, again, because all I've read is this issue and I didn't read anything from before that. But basically, there are two kind of opposing ideas. You've got Bumblebee on the one side, who thinks that the Autobots need to stay on Cybertron, and you've got on the other side Rodimus, who has kind of taken over for Optimus Prime. And again, I don't know where Optimus is because I wasn't reading this. So is he dead? I don't know, because I haven't. I guess I could have done some wiki searching before this, but I kind of wanted to see how well this book really did work as a jumping-on point. So I'm reviewing this from the position of someone who's never read Transformers before. Can I read this and understand what's going on? Partially, but I wish that reading this I could have had a better sense as to what happened to Optimus. And so Rodimus has taken over, and he has learned that perhaps the Knights of Cybertron actually exist, the kind of the ancestors of the Cybertronians, and he wants to take all the Autobots and go out in search of them. And Bumblebee thinks that's a fool's errand, and he thinks that it's not worth doing, and that they need to work on building up a society. Rodimus has this fantastic speech at the beginning where he says that now that the war is over, they can go out and explore space without guns in their hands, and I really like that. I really like the personification too of how these robots are all. I said that a lot of them are kind of interchangeable, but at the same time they're really expressive, and there's something kind of human about them, almost cartoonishly human, and that's not a bad thing. It's kind of fun. It's kind of comic book that they talk and act like people even though they're robots. There's fun little things like and I don't remember everybody's names, but there's one Autobot who, like, he's an archiver and he films everything, and he's got like a camera mounted on him, and some of the Transformers are like, don't videotape me, I don't want to be videotaped. And I think it's funny how primitive that is, because you've got this really sophisticated technology with these robots. Of course, they don't see themselves as technology, and they've been around for millions of years, and they're still walking around with camcorders on their shoulders. Like, they don't have a built-in thing where they can store their own information about themselves, or like a built-in camera someplace that's hidden that you can't see. I don't know, I think that all that's really fun. There's a lot of really good comedy in this. Probably my favorite bit is there's this one Transformer who turns into a giant flash drive, basically, and he complains that that everybody makes fun of him because he can't get around as fast as other people. His name is, let me see if I can find it real quick. Rewind is his name. I think that's fun. And he turns into a giant memory stick, and he's like, what is the point of turning into a giant memory stick? But it's not fair that everybody is always making fun of me because I don't turn into like a tank or something, he says. And then there's this line that I feel like is probably going to come back later, maybe, about how everyone transforms into a particular thing for a purpose. There's kind of a fate built in for why they transform into what they transform into. And then, spoiler warning, but at the end of this, there's a message that gets sent from the future, and we don't know who it's from, that is trying to warn Rodimus to not go out in search of the Knights of Cybertron, because apparently something really terrible happens when he goes and tries to do that. And so now there's a little bit of a time travel theme happening, and I like that we're getting this sense of danger right out the gate when we just finished a big giant war and everything seems to be peaceful and happy, and obviously it's not going to be that way. And this looks like it could be really epic and really fun. The art is quite good. Again, it is hard to tell sometimes who exactly I'm looking at, just because it's a bunch of robots and I'm not used to just reading a bunch of robots in panels. This is yet another one of those comics. I feel like I've been reviewing a lot of these lately for some reason, where there's good detail in the characters, but very little going on in landscapes. And I feel like most of the backgrounds in this are just straight solid colors. And I kind of wanted to see more of what Cybertron looks like in the background on some of these, and felt like I mean, it does look kind of 80s cartoon, and maybe that's what it was going for, but I don't know, I would have liked to have seen more of actual Cybertron in the background. All in all, this was quite a fun read. There's a whole lot of, this is going to sound funny, but there's a whole lot of words, but that's not a bad thing because none of it feels arbitrary. It's just, there's a lot of thick plotting going on, a lot of mythology, and, it took me a good 20-25 minutes to read this one single issue, so you get a lot for your $3.99 on this. I absolutely recommend this, and like I said, it's an okay jumping on point, having never read Transformers, but I was a little bit lost in places. Perhaps if I were to continue reading, and I'm considering going back and looking for more of this series, because I do really like it, I'm thinking maybe even not reading anything before this. If I were to continue, I would be able to piece more of it together. So anyway, that's my bit on Transformers. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you ever have anything you'd like to send me to review, especially if it's something that you're not used to seeing me review, and maybe I'd have an interesting take on it, and I might have a good time reading something I've never tried before, like I did with this one, you can always send anything you'd like to our P.O. Box. That's Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. And I'll be with you once again tomorrow with another comic book review. I'm Captain Logan, and happy reading.